back on a regular cardio workout day schedule. So 30 minutes, and it will really pass like nothing. I cannot stress it enough. 30 minutes at like a moderate intensity will not, you're not going to feel like you ran a marathon. And depending on the day, maybe you got a good night's rest, caffeinated. I would, not only would I probably recommend pre-workout, pre-cardio caffeination, just from the fact that you're going to be awake, but look it up. It's some kind of something or other that the idea when you've got caffeine in your system, it raises certain levels of whatever, and then it can potentially elevate lipolysis, aka fat burning. Whether or not that's totally true, cardio still is easier when you're a little bit caffeinated in the morning. So whether or not you become reliant, don't do too much. I think this is a little silly when I see guys talk about doing, we're kind of over it right now, but there was a time where there was kind of a shtick of like, who's doing more caffeine than who? Who could take the most caffeine pre-workout, like 1,000 milligrams or 1,500 milligrams of caffeine, and you've lost the plot a bit, right? The idea that you need that much is foolish anyway, but to put yourself in a position where you might even feel like you need to up it like that, that's also a little silly, right? Personally, I've never gone too wild. I'll bust out 500 on an off-season leg day on occasion, or deeper into dieting once I start getting a little bit more just low energy. But those are kind of one-offs, right? Usually 200 puts me right at the sweet spot. I'm still a little bit, I don't even notice it. Like, I know that I'm energized from some caffeine, or I feel energized at least, but it's not so crazy that I feel it. You know what I'm saying? So I almost want the caffeine side of pre-workout to just count enough to bring me to like a solid baseline energy state, but I don't need it to be so crazy. That's one thing that's kind of on us, is it's a very easy thought to say, I really want to feel it. That's why we like beta alanine, apart from the actual benefits of I forget, some kind of something that if you take beta alanine for long enough, consistently enough, it actually does have like pretty substantial performance markers. Nothing crazy, but still something. But I want people to feel this pre-workout. Beta alanine does the trick. For some, it's kind of a little too much. I'll take it or leave it sometimes. I don't mind that kind of jittery feeling, because I don't get it too bad. But I remember the first time I took a pre-workout that had beta alanine in it, and it was distracting. It was straight up distracting me for the workouts, just because it was like, I don't know, I was feeling it in the back of my hands and my ears, and just like I could feel every part of me that like my shirt was rubbing against. Like it was just a little too much, but yeah. So if you get to a point where you're taking 500 and you don't even feel jack, that might be a situation where a caffeine deload, a caffeine tolerance break may be necessary. But I think if you don't overdo it, well, then you're probably good. The idea that you can take pre-workout every day for a whole year for a legit workout for its intended purpose, and that you're going to get like seriously, systematically desensitized to its effects, I just don't see it as much. But if you actually do, and then you take a little bit of an accidental step and start doing more, trying to chase like a certain feeling of caffeination or just jitteriness, well then it seems a little counterintuitive. Where's the limit? What are you going to do? 3 grams of caffeine for a workout? It just doesn't make any freaking sense. But no, yeah. So we're less than a week away. We're less than a week away from a certain something, right? A certain Mr. Olympia competition. So not only that, but also the Olympia Expo. If you're around, like if you're within a couple of hours, so sometimes it depends on the guy, right? Some guys are going to fly from freaking New Zealand to come to the Mr. Olympia because that's how much of a diehard fan they are and they want to see everything. But yeah, if you're kind of on the edge of like, do I want to go to something like this, or if you've never been to the Arnold, you've never been to a Fit Expo, you've never been to, just anything, I really couldn't recommend it enough, especially if it's your first one. If you've been to them multiple times, then I don't have to recommend it. You already know that it's cool. But as a first one, I mean, yeah, this is talk about freaks. I mean, look, as a description of what the different classes of, male bodybuilding is, right? We've got men's physique, of course, but between classic and open, there's one distinguishing feature that really changes the game on how these guys are looking. Because with classic, there's a weight cap. Even at the pro level, you have to come in the day before at a certain weight, depending on your height. So that makes it fair. So a 6-foot guy can weigh a bit more than a 5-foot guy, so that proportionally, they're just about on the same level, right? So it's much more of a game of like who's got the best genetic insertions and who, is the most cut. It's always who's the most cut up, who's the leanest, who prepped the best. But it's a little more up to chance in a way, because some guys just have crazy ass insertions. There's dudes who are 200 pounds or 190 pounds where if we flexed off next to each other, like, sure, I might physically be bigger, but the guy would look way wilder because he's just got everything going on with like arms and waist and legs. So there's more of a game to it like that. And with open bodybuilding, especially if you've never seen an open bodybuilder, it's this is a little bit contested by some, but for the most part, it's essentially who can physically be the largest, at least right now. And that's getting a little bit of pushback because some guys don't like the crazy big dudes, but you cannot deny their freak factor, right? I mean, if you walked around and it was me walking past Nick Walker in the gym, I'm gonna look like a regular schmo. Nick's gonna look like a freaking whale that re-evolved back to land, got legs on, and then started doing, I don't know what his cardio choice is, but whatever, right? It's just freaking nuts. Not to mention a Derek, not to mention everybody else who's going to be out there. So honestly, you don't even have to be like a die-hard bodybuilding fan to just experience going to a show like that. I mean, even if, I guess it depends, but on a bigger show like the Arnold or the Olympia or like a Pittsburgh Pro or like whatever, it's just crazy to see, especially if you've never seen one before. So I guess that's my little tip. If you're, if you know all these fitness characters, so I totally forgot to even mention that. As much as it's just about the competitors as well, if you work out, you're going to see basically the same group of, I don't know, what do you think, 100 or maybe like 150 kind of fitness guys just bounce around on all of our phones all the time. And for the most part, especially at these bigger events, they just freaking show up. Like I remember the first time I went to, I remember the first Arnold I ever went to. It was only 4 years ago, or 3 years ago. I think three. Yeah, only 3 years ago. So like freaking recent. And it was just crazy getting to see everybody. I mean, just like, you're like, holy, this guy's real? I've only ever seen this dude on my freaking phone, right? But no, it's freaking cool. But yeah, so plan now, get some cardio going. Not much, but I guess for you, there's really no change. We're just going to get back in the car and turn around. So I guess I'll see you in freaking 0.2 seconds. That was good. Quick. And that bike was total BS. It said I burned 500 calories in 30 minutes at like what I could feel is the right difficulty. It's I'm sure if you're a runner, then you would know like what a 1 mile or what a 3 mile an hour or like an 8 mile an hour, whatever mile an hour pace is for you. Like you can kind of gauge it like that. Or, like if dumbbells had no weight numbers, like obviously they would move up in increments, but if they weren't numbered, you'd still know how heavy to go. If you do your cardio enough, then you get to a point where you know the right difficulty, where you can feel like you feel it in your quads, you're breathing, but you're not like overdoing it and really huffing and puffing about it. And sometimes machines they're just not calibrated the right way, or they're calibrated different ways or whatever. Or maybe it's a feel-good thing, where if you're a company and you sell a piece of cardio equipment, you want it to read more calories burned than actually, because that seems cool for, you know, the end user. Like, oh, I burned 2,000 calories in 30 minutes on the Stairmaster, bro. Did you really? 2,000? Or when guys bust out their Apple Watch, hey man, 3,000 calorie workout only took 45 minutes. Really? You know? So that's where sometimes you can't even trust the technology, you know, and you just kind of have to know, all right, what level am I at? And that's where just tracking your heart rate might actually be a little bit better, because it'll give you a real, just consistent number. I don't know what I haven't really looked into it as much recently. Like, haven't been wearing the Apple Watch or like grabbing onto the heartbeat sensors on the bike. But when I do, usually for me, 30 minutes at like 135 beats per minute, sometimes 140 if I really start pedaling. That ends up being the sweet spot. I'm sweaty about 15 minutes in. I'm a bit sweaty at the end, but I'm not like completely dead. And I actually did, you know, burn some substantial calories. So nothing wild. But yeah, unrelated to working out, or maybe kind of related. I don't remember who it was that recommended it to me. This was like very recent. I'm trying to remember. I don't remember who recommended it to me, but I just watched Foxcatcher last night. That movie was freaking nuts. And then I had no idea that it was based on a true story, or like not even based, like was a true story. I guess for the most part. Yeah, in terms of movie review, I'd say that one is worth a watch if you've got the time, because it is kind of long. It's like freaking 2 hours and 10 minutes or so. But today concludes the Idaho Yellowstone trip, and now begins the arduous drive of returning back to Ohio. Now, I didn't go full Yellowstone, but I did ride a horse yesterday, and we all got a 2-hour just, you know, kind of horse riding path where it was like a group of 10 people, so we're all just kind of, you know, trotting forward, following everybody else. I was on a big ass horse. His name was Ruck, and the dude was like trying to go off trail the whole time. And they tell you the basic gist is like, all right, if you want to turn left, pull these reins to the left a ton, or not a ton, but you know, enough, and then to the right, pull back if you want to kind of stop. But it's like, you know, he's still his own guy, right? He's not just going to listen like a freaking robot. So it was that was fun though. And then we tried going fishing. So this lake was supposed to be stocked, like it was I don't know what reservoir it was, but I feel like I pulled out every trick in the book I know. You know, I'm looking up like how to catch trout, and it's like, all right, you're gonna wanna drag your spinner on the bottom at one speed, or you know, you're gonna want to throw down a weight with a floating worm. You know, it's nothing. I'm totally desolate. That was gonna be the plan for a little like kind of catch my own dinner post-workout meal. But I guess I'm not the angler that I thought I was. I can still whip out a big ass bass from the pond, but out in the wild, a little bit less successful, unfortunately. That's one thing I'm really excited for. Whenever the next time I'm like around either like a California or like a Florida or whatever, anywhere coastal, I definitely want to get a fishing trip. You know, get on a charter boat. They take you out, I don't know, 10 or 15 miles or something, set anchor, and then you just try to see what you can freaking pull up from the depths. I'm not as interested in, like, you know, the videos where all the bodybuilder guys go out and they try to catch like a tuna or like the Goliath grouper, and it's like a 400-pound fucking thing. I don't want to see it, but to actually sit there holding the fucking reel, I mean, odds are I'm probably just going to rip my freaking forearms off. And then have a random muscular pull that I never pulled before. So I might hold off on catching anything bigger than myself. But yeah, that was good. So 30 minutes complete, just a little bit of extra random ass banter. And then now all these lifts are going to be posted on a good schedule. 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Or actually, well, should I do 4 o'clock? What's a good time for you? What am I even doing coming up with a time? What's a good upload time that you would like? That's actually good information, because then I can actually get it straight from the source. But plan for later today is throw around some back, and I can, well, I guess there's no guarantee. Right? There's no guarantee in life I'm going to be pumped. There's no guarantee that I'm going to love the workout. There's no guarantee of anything. But I can almost guarantee that it's going to be a badass lift. 99.9% certain that it's going to be solid. So I think nothing else to say there. I'll see you for an actual legit lift, not just a little car talk, tomorrow.